We're excited about the ability for students to take classes during the summer from a thoroughly Christian perspective. This is through our CCS Online Studies program, and we use the 7-star online course system. In this video, I want to go over some of the keys of this summer program so you will be able to decide if it's right for your student. So first, let's see what some of the benefits of an online studies program are. First, you can work at your own schedule. There's some limits, and I'll mention those later, but you're not tied to a particular class schedule as you would be with on-campus summer classes, which meet at specific hours and times. This means you can fit your schoolwork around other summer obligations you might have. Another advantage is that you can work anywhere. Now, you might not want to take your computer on the sands of the beach, but you can work at home, you can work at the pool, you can work at your grandparents' house, you can work when you travel. Anywhere you have internet access, you can work on your lessons. So if you have travel plans for the summer, but you will still have access to the internet, you can still work on your lessons. Another benefit to online learning in general is that students are actively learning, not just sitting back passively trying to take information in. In a typical on-campus class, a lot of times students fall into the trap of being passive. They just sit back and wait for the teacher to tell them what to learn. The teacher tells them what to study. The teacher tells them what they're doing wrong. The teacher tells them what they're doing right. The teacher tells them what they need to do to improve. The students often just get in the attitude of, I'll sit here and you tell me what to do. Online courses require that the students learn to be more active in their learning. They need to find out answers to their questions. They need to see what to do when they don't understand things. They need to be more active. And this is important, not only because they learn better, but also because it's a skill they will need as they go on through high school and especially into college. Online courses also help students learn self-discipline for future learning. There are deadlines on assignments, but you don't have a teacher reminding you of them every day. You don't have an assignment due every single day like you do in an on-campus class. You might have longer term assignments. You have to budget your time. You have to decide how you're going to use your time to meet the deadlines. So this develops self-discipline, which is an important skill. So let's look at how an online course might work. One of the first things that will happen after you start your course is that the course itself will take your lessons and divide them up into dates and give you due dates for all of your lessons. And so you see here, this is actually from a German course, but you see here's the assignments on the left and then due dates over on the right. So that just basically tells you the pace that you're going to be working at during the course. When you submit an assignment, you'll see the date that it's submitted there in that third column. You'll see the grade in the second column under score. So you'll be able to tell your progress and be able to see what assignments are coming due. You can always do them ahead of time if you wish. But this gives you the pace. This tells you what your due dates for your assignments are. Now we're going to look at some lesson materials in the geometry course. Now let's see how a geometry course might work. We'll look at a sample lesson or two here in a geometry course. We're looking at one of the first lessons, Basics of Geometry. And so when the students get to this point, they see there's something to read here, and then there's a video that they'll watch. So they can watch the video. After they watch the video, there's some material to read. This tells them the essential questions, what they're going to be studying in this lesson. After they are finished with that page, right up here there are arrows. Okay, an arrow to go to the next page, or if they need to back up, they can go to the previous page. Okay, so they click the arrow, that takes them to the next page. Okay, now here's material to read. Now here's one of the keys to online learning that students sometimes don't realize. Usually when we go to a web page, we just kind of glance over it. we skim it, we might read it over, but then we say, okay, I've read that web page, and you go on. Online classes, you have to study the page. So the students need to get in the habit. They read this, here are some things that are bold print. These might be important terms. So they need to think, okay, I need to learn these. And so they go down here. Here's a definition of a point, an explanation of what a point is. They click here. Here is an explanation of lines. Then they click here. Here's an explanation of planes. And then you have terms like coplanar and non-coplanar. Okay, these are things the students need to learn. It might mean that they're taking notes on these. It might mean that they're making flashcards for terms they need to memorize. But they're studying the material as they go through. So they've read that. They go on to the next page, and here's something that they respond to. They keep going, and here is a page about defining something. And you have here another video they watch that deals with angles, and you have down here there would be a thing that they are a JavaScript that's running that would enable them to do some work with that. So the thing is, students need to go through this. They're going to keep going. They will get to quizzes at times. Now I can't show you the quiz because this is not something that I can show you, but it has something that they need to do, and then there's a place where they submit it. Okay, and it says submit it, complete by hand, scan, fax, or take a picture of them and submit them. You're going to go on down through at the end of the unit. Here's a review session. So they're going to study something here. Here's the figure, and you say, okay, this is an angle, and the definition is this, and we submit it. Okay, they got it right. Okay. And so they go on to the next one. Okay. And we'll say, okay, what is this? Well, let's say that they say it's a line, and the definition is an infinite number of points. So they submit that. Okay, try it again. So they get to try again. So there's a review of terms. Then when they finish the module, they will get to where there's an exam. This tells them what, it gives them some regulations about it, tells them 2 parts, it tells them it's going to take about 40 minutes, and reminds them to start part 1 if you have time to complete it, move to part 2 if there's enough time to complete it, because the regulations are once they start it, they have to finish it. They can't go to other parts of the course, they can't go to another browser window, all of these things. So it gives them some regulations about the exam. So that's a sample, that's one example of how courses work and how the students would go through the course. Now, one of the keys of success in this online course is that the students are going to have to develop study methods. If it's something where they're memorizing vocabulary, they might make flashcards. They'll need to take notes. They'll need to review outlines. In the course materials, there are often suggestions for these, but it comes down to the student actually doing these things. It's more than just looking at a website and saying, okay, I've read the website, let me go on. They have to work on methods to study and to review and to master the material. Then the students will be submitting their work online. They'll take tests and exams online. Now, semester exams, one at the middle of the course and then one at the end of the course, must be taken here at school, and we'll talk about that later, but all other work is done at home. You have a teacher online who's available for questions. Occasionally that teacher might want to talk with you. If you're taking a foreign language, it might be for oral assessments, but other things. But the teacher is there and is available to answer questions. They're the ones who grade your work. They're the ones who can help you when you need it. They publish hours when they're available, and sometimes you might need to schedule a call ahead of time with them, but they are there to help you. But remember, the course is actually taught by the material online. That's your teacher, in a sense, is what's online. The online teacher, the person that's at the other end of the course, is there to give you help when you get stuck. Sometimes they may just say, well, you need to go back and review lesson 2 again. Because they want you, as we do, they want you to learn to figure out your problems and to be able to solve your problems through the online program. But the online teacher is available when you get stuck and for other questions that may come up. Finally, when you finish the course, the semester grades will be recorded on your CCHS transcript, just the same as for courses you take on campus. It's the same grading scale, the same credits, account for your GPA, all that is just as if you were taking the course on site here. Now, let's briefly look at courses that are available for summer study. You have credit recovery courses. These are courses the student has taken previously and has failed. So you retake the course in order to get credit for it. For some of you who might be going into 9th grade next year, maybe you haven't done well in Algebra 1 in 8th grade, and Mrs. Lee or Mr. Jennings recommend that you review Algebra 1 before you move ahead into geometry. You could do the credit recovery option for Algebra 1 as well. There's a number of courses available for that. You can take geometry if you're going into the STEM program. That's only available for students going into STEM. This allows you to avoid having to take geometry and Algebra 2 at the same time in your freshman year. You can get the geometry out of the way before you do the Algebra 2. And it opens up a class period for a study hall during your freshman year. The same option is available for STEM students for English 9. Again, it's just for students who've been accepted into STEM, but this allows you to have a study hall during your freshman year if you want to do that. When you enter your sophomore year, again, as a STEM student, you can take modern history during the summer so that you're not taking it here on campus, and again, that opens up a study period during the school year. There are a variety of electives you can take. These are primarily for upperclassmen who could take their 4th science. For example, there's Earth and Space Science, there's Marine Science. You also have an elective in Consumer Math, there's an elective in Game Design, one in Mobile App Programming. There's some restrictions and qualifications on some of these, but we don't want to go into that here. But there are some electives available. Foreign languages. I'm going to talk more about foreign language in a minute, but here are the languages that students can take during the summer. And these are the languages we offer. And elsewhere on this website, you have a comparison chart of the languages and the various aspects of these languages that are easy or difficult. See, most students tend to think, okay, Spanish is the easy one. Let's take Spanish. But that's actually not the case. Each language has some aspects that are difficult, some aspects that are easier. And the comparison chart on the website helps you explain that. That chart comes from the American Association of the Teachers of Foreign Language, so it's focused on what are the best languages to learn. Now, when we talk about foreign language, there's kind of a special case here in the summer. And so what we're looking at here, students have to have 2 years of the same foreign language to graduate. And with our online program, there are basically 3 ways you can schedule this. So let's look at this on a diagram. Let's say here are the next 2 school years. You've got the summer of 2015, you've got next school year, then you've got next summer of 2016, and then the following school year. Now, the first option is the standard way that students take their foreign languages. This is just like all their other courses. They take their first year course during the regular school year. They take their second year course during the next school year. Students have an open period during their school day when they can work on their language studies during school time. This is how most of the students do their foreign language. It works out well. Okay? It works out fine. But due to the availability of online courses, there's a couple of other options you might want to take. One is if you might think you might need more time for a course. Maybe languages have come difficult to you, or you just want to spread it out a little bit. You could start your first year course in the summer, in June. Then you work on that through the summer and through the regular school year, and you finish that first year language in May. Then you do the same thing for your second year of the language. Start it next June, finish the following May. This gives you extended time, spreads out the assignments a little bit. But let's say that you want to accelerate your work in the foreign language. There's a third option that allows you to do that. You can start your first year course in the summer, June, and finish it at the end of the first semester of the school year in December. Then start the second year course in January, finish it at the end of next summer. Basically what you're looking at here is that you're taking 2 years of a foreign language and finishing them pretty much in one school year. Now with these non-standard options, with options 2 and 3, notice that you're working through the entire summer. So you'll have assignments due all summer and you need to keep up with those. I'll talk later about things like due dates, but for now just realize that those options involve you working all summer long on your course. Now for all of these options, you can finish the course before the specified time. Like if you sign up for August through May, you can finish the course in August through March if you want to. You can accelerate it. You have to work at least 12 weeks. I'll talk about that in a minute. But you could even start your first year course in August, finish it by December, do the second year course from January through May. That's really aggressive, but it can be done. But what you would do is you would actually sign up for the August through May time frame and then just work ahead so that you finish it early rather than signing up to say I'm going to do August through December, because that's a lot of pressure and it leaves you no margin for error. If you sign up for August through December, you have to finish by December. So it's a lot better to sign up for a longer time and then finish it early. Now, one option is not allowed, and this is based on our experience. We don't allow you to take a full year of a language during a summer and then take the second year of a language the following summer. For one thing, we found you can't really learn a language in a compressed time frame, like that 12 to 14 weeks, and we'll talk about that time frame. You can't really learn the language in that time. But second, that means you have almost an entire year between your first and second year courses. If you take a first year this summer, second year next summer, you end up forgetting most of your language in that time. So we don't allow you to take languages purely in the summer. Now, what about costs? The application form that's available on this website gives you the information on the costs, but just to summarize, the school pays for your first 2 years of a foreign language, because that's the only way we offer foreign languages here is through the online program. So we cover the costs for that. So you have no cost to take your foreign languages, whether you do it starting in the summer or do it during the school year. We pay for that. If you want to take a third year of a language, like some colleges ask that you have a third year of a language, you're able to do that, but you would need to pay for that. For other courses, if you want to take geometry for STEM or some of the other courses, you have to pay the registration and tuition listed on the fact sheet. And if there are textbooks, which is very rare, the courses that students typically take don't have textbooks, but if there were textbooks, you would need to pay for those separately. Now I want to go over some important policies and expectations, because this will help you decide if this is something you really want to do during the summer, because you need to understand what you're getting into. First, there's a 14-week enrollment length for summer classes. Now, this doesn't apply to the foreign language options I mentioned earlier. Those enrollments are longer than 14 weeks. But this is for all the other courses. There's a 14-week enrollment. And you know that there aren't 14 weeks in the summer. There's only about 10 weeks during our summer. So you either are starting the course before the end of this school year, or you're finishing it after the beginning of next school year. And the dates are on that enrollment form that you can see. So that's the time frame. Well, you might say, okay, let me just work really hard and finish the course quicker than that. So I'm just working in the summer. There's a problem there. 7-star requires that you work on a course for 12 weeks, meaning that you have to submit at least one assignment each week for 12 weeks. Now this deals with NCAA athletic eligibility requirements for their courses, and I realize that you're probably not looking at playing running back for University of Georgia, but it still applies to all the students. So this means you have to actually work for 12 weeks out of the 14 weeks. You can work for 14 weeks, but you have to at least work for 12 weeks. You can't do something like, say, finishing the course in 9 weeks. Or you can't procrastinate and end up trying to cram the whole course into the last 6 weeks. You're not going to get credit for the course in either of those cases. It won't count. The 14-week enrollment period is how we give you some flexibility. That gives you 2 weeks when you might be on vacation or other things comes up, or just allows you to spread the work out a bit more. But the bottom line here is that you have to work for 12 weeks or you won't get credit. And there are no exceptions to that. That's not our call. That's from 7-star. So if that doesn't work into your summer schedule, I mean, let's say you're planning a 5-week trip to Europe and you won't have internet access and your student won't be able to submit work during that time, then you should not take the summer course. You have to be able to submit work for at least 12 of the weeks. Now, this summer course here also is a demanding daily workload. Now think about it this way. If you're in a typical on-site summer school course, like you're going to the school and you're taking courses, teachers will often don't require all the work they would if it was a full-year course. Like if you're taking a math course, instead of having to do 15 problems a night for homework, they might say, okay, for this lesson just do 3 problems, and for this lesson just do 3 problems, and so on. They might combine several lessons into one to compress the course. But that's not the case with these. The courses that we offer for the summer are literally the same course with the same requirements you take during the regular school year, the same number of assignments. So let's see how that works out. Now, in a regular online 7-star class, which you take for 180 school days, you typically plan on spending 90 minutes a day on that class. Now, that's not 90 minutes homework. That's counting the time you're in class and 30 minutes of homework, which is about what you would be doing for other classes anyway. So about 90 minutes a day. For 180 days, works out to 16,200 minutes of work over the course of the year. Like I said, for summer classes, you're doing the same amount of work, you're just compressing it. So you take that same 16,200 minutes of work, but let's say you only have 70 class days. That's 14 weeks, 5 days a week if you're going to do the full 14 weeks. That works out to 231 minutes a day, or about 4 hours a day. Or if you say, well, let's take 2 weeks vacation, do the course in 12 weeks, that works out to 270 minutes a day, or 4.5 hours a day. What this means is if you're going to do this course this summer, you need to plan on setting aside 4 to 4.5 hours every weekday for your summer course. Now, I realize students vary in the exact amount of time they need, but this is a good guideline. If you can't do that, like if you say, well, I'm going to be having a full-time job this summer, I won't be able to spend 4 hours, I could spend an hour or 2 a day, okay, then this is not the program for you. Okay, you need to be able to allocate 4 to 4.5 hours every weekday to do your work. Now, Another expectation here, this is rigorous work. Okay, some of you have done online work like with Khan Academy, where you watch a 10 to 15 minute lesson, then you answer a few questions and you go on. Or you've done online work here with Rosetta Stone with the languages, where you click through and complete lessons like that. This is not like that. You have content to read, like I showed you in the sample, some of the content's on the screen. Sometimes they might give you links to go to. You'll have videos to watch. You have practice exercises. You have assignments to complete. You have just plain studying that you need to do. So it takes work, study, and diligence. It's rigorous. Okay? It's not something that you just kind of sit down and breeze through. I mentioned about due dates for the courses. So it's not fully work at your own pace. It's not like, well, I'll just turn in assignments whenever. You have to complete your assignments by the due dates or you're penalized for submitting work late. This means if you have a vacation coming up, you need to plan and work ahead. If you say, well, I'm not going to be able to do work during vacation, you have to work ahead to get those assignments done so you won't have them due during your vacation. That, when I mentioned about 14-week enrollment giving you 2 weeks of flex time, that doesn't mean there's nothing due during those 2 weeks. The course will automatically give you assignments for those 2 weeks. It means you need to work ahead and get them done and plan ahead. When you select a start date for this course, it's a firm date. If you say you're going to start the course on May 18th, for example, that means you actually have to start the course on May 18th. When May 18th comes along, you can't just say, we've got a lot going on here. Let's wait a couple of weeks before you actually get started. You'll end up getting penalized for late work. If you're going to start May 18th, you have to start then. If you say, well, I'd rather wait till June 1st, then sign up for it June 1st. Okay, you have to actually start when you say you're going to start. One of the requirements for the course that 7-Star says is that we need to proctor the semester exams. There's one halfway through the course, another at the end of the course. And you need to come in here to CCS to take those 2 exams. You'll contact me and arrange a time when you can do that. But this means you need to think about things like vacations. If you're away when it's time for your exam, even if you have internet access and could take the exam, you won't be able to until you get back to the school. There's a password that I'm the only one who will have to be able to access that exam. So plan ahead. If you're coming up on a vacation and you look at the list of due dates and you see that the exam falls during a vacation, work ahead so you can get the exam done before you leave for vacation. Think ahead so you won't get caught up short later. We do require that you meet with Mrs. Lee to get some counsel before you enroll in one of these classes. She can advise you as to whether it's a good idea to undertake the rigor of a summer class. She can look over your previous classes and make sure you have a good chance of success. She's going to need to sign off on the application form that she approves of you taking this class, so you'll need to set up a time to meet with Mrs. Lee. Finally, I want you to remember that these courses will count the same as all on-campus courses for things like GPA, Hope Scholarship, and so on. They show up on transcripts the same as our on-site courses. What this means is that if you slack off and get a low grade or you just quit working, it's going to count towards your GPA. We don't just ignore it. We don't just eliminate it. It's the same as if you fail any other course. It stays on your transcript. So you need to be sure that you're working diligently and taking your course seriously. Now, how do you as parents keep up with your students' progress? There's several ways you can do this. First, you'll get an automatic email, you and your student will, every Monday morning. This will tell you your current grade in the course, the percentage of assignments that have been turned in, tell you whether you're ahead or behind your pace. Parents will also be able to log in and view grades for yourself. You'll get a login and a password that you can use to view your students' grades. But that login won't show you due dates. For the most detail, you can ask your student to log you in themselves to their view. Then you can see not only their grades, but also the due dates for their assignments. I'm also going to be monitoring your students' progress. I'll send regular email updates, whether you're ahead of schedule or behind or whatever. So I'll be watching over your progress as well. Now, how do you register for this? First, you're going to fill out a registration form. There's a link to that on this website that's available. You fill that out. You need to submit that at least 2 weeks before your desired start date. It takes about 2 weeks for me to process the application, to get you signed up in the 7-star system, and for that to get going. So you need to do that at least 2 weeks ahead of time. If it's a course that you pay for, which is everything except the foreign languages, if you pay for it, you need to include the registration fee and the tuition payable to the school, or you can go to the school's website and go through the online store and pay there. Just leave a note with your payment that it's for your 7-star summer course. And then the student will receive email instructions about login information late in the week right before the start date. So you get that information there a few days before the course actually starts. Now, if you have any questions about this, about the summer program, have anything that you'd like to discuss, you can contact me at the email address rod.kirby@cherokeechristian.org. I'll be glad to help you out. But please look over the information that's also on this website, and I hope this is helpful for you. Be sure and let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.